Welcome to Called to Build, the podcast for faith-driven entrepreneurs and kingdom leaders who are ready to build what outlasts them. Hosted by Willis, entrepreneur, pastor, and marketplace missionary. Each episode delivers biblical wisdom, insight, real-world strategy, and bold encouragement to help you lead with purpose, steward with wisdom, and multiply your impact. Because faith and business weren't meant to compete, they were meant to collide. Now, let's step into today's episode. If you've ever wondered why some entrepreneurs thrive, leaving a lasting impact on their communities and their industries, while others struggle despite their best efforts, consider Chick-fil-A founder Truett, Cathy, who built his successful business on biblical principles, most notably closing on Sundays to honor God, a decision that defied conventional wisdom but has led to unprecedented success. And for a faith-driven entrepreneur, financial principles are more than just good business practices. They're actually divine wisdom from Scripture that guides them towards lasting success and significance. In my own journey as an entrepreneur, a pastor, and even a financial advisor, I've witnessed how embracing biblical principles of tithing, saving, and investing transforms not only businesses, but also entrepreneurs' perspectives on life and purpose. Serving congregations in Kansas, Pennsylvania, and Texas, I've observed profound transformations when those principles are faithfully applied, and that's what we're going to dive into today. Now, let me say this. I'm a former financial advisor, and what I'm going to give you today is not personal financial advice. You need to consult with your financial professional, your tax advisor, to see what fits specifically for you. What I am going to give you today, though, is some biblical principles of financial management, things that are going to help you become a better biblical financial steward, and things that can really help you in the long run. So when we talk today about biblical financial stewardship, I want to give you a great understanding, because biblical stewardship teaches us that everything we possess belongs to God. That comes from Psalm 24:1. We are merely caretakers, of God's resources. And entrepreneurs, given their influential roles, are uniquely positioned to make significant kingdom impact through wise stewardship. Our businesses should therefore be seen not only as profit generators, but also as vehicles to serve the greater purposes of God. You see that in Matthew 25, verses 14 through 29. And so one of the things I'd love for you to reflect on is, does your current view of business simply align with biblical stewardship? Well, let's jump right into the deep end, if you will, the principle of tithing. And really, tithing is a pathway to blessing. Now, before you tune me out, I want you to listen. The Bible clearly teaches that the tithe, the first 10% of our income, is holy unto the Lord. That comes from Leviticus 27:30. Now, I know there's the argument. Isn't that an Old Testament commandment? What about New Testament? Aren't we free from the law? Well, I want to push on you a little bit here. Tithing is an act of worship and obedience, and recognizing God as the ultimate source of our provision. That's ultimately what it's all about. In Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, God invites us to actually test him through tithing, promising to open the floodgates of heaven. Throughout my career in my ministry, I have seen miraculous provisions from consistent tithing. During a season of economic uncertainty for Simplicity Marketing, our faithful tithing led to unexpected financial blessings and new business opportunities. And it demonstrated God's unwavering commitment to those who trust Him. And I've seen that over and over again. Times when the numbers just didn't make sense, times when we didn't know how we were going to get from point A to point B, but we were faithful to continue to give to God, and we saw Him come through. And here's the thing that I have always preached through my ministry. If I can trust Him with eternity, then I can trust Him with my finances. And that 10% really is about my heart. It is just saying, God, I trust you with everything. Because really it's all His when you boil it all down. So here's some action steps for you. Commit to giving the first 10% of your business income. And then regularly pray and journal about your experiences after implementing tithing. Really what you're doing is you're loosening the shackles from yourself. Because money is one of those things that is likely to keep you in bondage. And if you can release yourself from that, you're going to find a freedom that is going to carry over into a lot of areas of your life. Let's also talk about saving, preparing for the unexpected. You see, Scripture emphasizes prudence and preparedness, and it encourages believers to save wisely. Proverbs 21:20 states, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." And Joseph had the foresight in Genesis 41:35 to store grain during prosperous times, and that teaches us as entrepreneurs the power of preparation. Strategic saving enables entrepreneurs to withstand economic challenges and promotes business stability and personal peace. You see, saving is not fear-driven hoarding. It's actually wisdom-driven stewardship. And here's your checklist for wise saving. Establish and maintain an emergency fund. Normally in financial discussions, we talk about having a 6-month emergency fund. Develop and regularly review your savings plan. And then you want to clearly differentiate between those needs and those wants to avoid impulse spending. And then, of course, there are the principles of investing. This is where we multiply kingdom resources. And this is where we want to turn to the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:14 through 30, because that illustrates our responsibility to invest wisely, multiplying the resources that are entrusted to us, because investing reflects our stewardship commitment to God. You see, as entrepreneurs, we have the unique opportunity to invest in ways that are aligned with our values. Ethical, kingdom-aligned investments can uplift communities. They can reflect biblical principles. And then by diversifying investments, as advised in Ecclesiastes 11:2, we can reduce our risk and promote sustainable business growth. So a point of reflection for you is simply this. Do your current investments align with biblical values and priorities? What adjustments do you need to make or could you make? And then here's a big one for you. Balancing money and ministry. How do you bring those things into alignment? And here's a couple of spiritual steps or practical steps for you. In Luke 16:9, it describes money as a tool for kingdom purposes. Here's the key. It's to maintain balance, ensuring that wealth serves the mission, not the other way around. And some practical ways that you as an entrepreneur can maintain this balance include regular spiritual retreats, accountability partnerships, and intentional generosity. So schedule those regular spiritual retreats. Take time out to reflect, to journal, to pray. Partner with a mentor or join an accountability group. And then develop an actual generosity plan for your business. Be intentional about giving money away. Navigate your debt with biblical clarity. Proverbs 22:7 warns about debt because the borrower is servant to the lender. And while strategic borrowing can fuel growth, entrepreneurs must differentiate between what's beneficial debt and what's harmful debt when we're aiming for financial freedom. And so here's a checklist for managing debt. Number one, prioritize eliminating harmful debt first. Number two, seek wise counsel before you take on new debt. And then number three, establish a clear debt repayment plan to achieve financial freedom. You also want to consider your mindset when you're dealing with faith-driven entrepreneurship because you're going to need to cultivate resilience. The mindset of an entrepreneur has a great impact on their journey. Philippians 4:8 encourages us to focus on what is virtuous and praiseworthy. This shapes our thinking towards optimism and faith. Matthew 6:33 reminds us to prioritize God's kingdom, trusting Him to provide. Remember, challenges are actually opportunities for growth. And drawing from my own experiences, you can read about some of these in my books, Troubles of a Righteous Man and Lessons from the Storm. I emphasize the value of resilience, using setbacks to deepen my trust in God and clarify mission. So how have past challenges actually influenced your entrepreneurial journey and your faith? And then you want to integrate your faith and your financial principles. So implement biblical principles of tithing, saving, and investing, and you're going to find that reshapes your entrepreneurial vision. It will transform you from merely managing a successful business to actually living a purpose-driven life that impacts the world. You see, faithful stewardship of God's resources leads to greater influence, fulfillment, and kingdom significance. So I invite you to take your next step. Go from purpose to impact. If you're ready to align your entrepreneurial vision with your God-given purpose, join other entrepreneurs whose business have experienced remarkable growth once they apply their faith-driven principles to their business. You can always reach out and schedule a 30-minute discovery call with me and become a part of a coaching program. I have a program called Purpose to Impact and would love to talk to you more about that. So reach out, schedule a call with me. As always, I look forward to talking with you on the next episode and appreciate you tuning in today. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to Called to Build. If this episode challenged or encouraged you, take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another faith-driven leader who's ready to rise. To go deeper, visit carlwillis.com for tools, training, and resources that will help you lead with purpose, steward with wisdom, and build what outlasts you. Remember, you weren't called to compete, You were called to build. Until next time, keep building what matters.